What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Talk Punch. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, whether you're watching us here on YouTube or listening in on the audio version, make sure you come back here every Wednesday to see what we're talking about, kind of like this week's topic, top 3 favorite horror movies of all time. I am Brody Hanson, joined by Charlie Hickman and Tu Dong Dylan. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Us? Oh, we're doing good.
We're good. That was a question to you guys. I said I introduced you, and I said, "How are you doing?" That's how the intro goes.
I thought you were talking to the audience, and
no,
I was waiting.
They can't
anxiously.
talk back. They can't talk back to me. But mention in the comments how you're doing, and I'll respond to you. There you go.
It's really all that matters. We just want to know how you're doing out there. Hope you're having a wonderful, safe October and ready for a delightful Halloween. And maybe this video will help you get into the spirit. So
there we go. All right. Well,
are we doing this or what? Let's jump in.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Now, number 3. That's 6. 3. We're starting out with Tu Dong. Tu Dong, you're number 3.
All right.
My
number 3 is Evil Dead 2. And I gotta say, my younger brother Reed, he kept trying to have me watch it, and I didn't want to see it. He turned it on, and I was against it. Watched the first 5 minutes, couldn't believe my mind, and it was nuts. I loved it ever since.
Now, what order did you watch the Evil Dead trilogy in?
I actually started at Evil Dead 2, and I even said, I haven't seen Evil Dead 1. He's like, it doesn't make any difference. It's actually better this way. And I was like, you know what? You're right. It sold me on it. Absolutely, like 1,000%.
Bruce Campbell was once asked if Evil Dead 2 was a sequel or a reboot, and he said it's like a requel.
A requel? Oh, interesting.
A requel. That's a Bruce Campbellism.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because they couldn't. They wanted to just do like the flashback of the part 1, but they, for some reason, couldn't get the rights to their own movie, and so they just were like, "Fine, we'll just put them on ourselves." And there we go. I love that movie. It is genius. It is also it's a bit of gore, a bit of horror, a bit of psychological, a bit of comedy.
A lot of comedy.
Got everything.
My goodness, this movie is so Sam Raimi, with the close-ups, with the zooms, with the perspective of the camera going through. This movie's amazing. This was so close to making my list, but Tu Dong, I was 99.5% sure it was going to be on your list, and I didn't want to have too many crossovers.
That's funny, because this is one I was going to switch. I originally put Cabin in the Woods just because of the references, but I had to give it to Evil Dead 2. It's unbelievable.
This is a great one.
Is this the best DVD case of all time?
Like the Necronomicon? Like the foam Necronomicon? Probably.
Yeah, that's really cool.
All right, well, moving on to, I believe it's my number 3. Since we started doing number 3s, or top 3s instead of top 10s, I can remember my lists a whole lot easier these days. So, my number 3, it's Event Horizon. Now, Paul W.S. Anderson, not known for making good movies, but I still love this movie. You've got space, you've got Sam Neill, you've got Lawrence Fishburne. The concept of creating a black hole, sending a ship through it, and then it disappears. Where does it go? We don't know. Comes back 7 years later. Where did it go? We don't know. Went to a really bad place. That's where it went. I used to play this on like every date that I went on. We'd go back to the house. We watch Event Horizon. I even showed my wife. She hated it.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I wanted to say that oftentimes I would come home and the room would be dark, and I'd open the door and there's Brody with a gal, and they're just watching Event Horizon like it's some rom-com movie. It was like a go-to Brody movie. It was great.
It was.
Non-stop romance with the Brody man.
I really like this movie. I really like it. It's got space. If you watch the last episode where we talk about horror, you know that sci-fi horror is kind of my go-to thing. So this one just hits it right on the head. Infinite space, infinite terror. Love this one. All right, Charlie, you're number 3.
All right, my number 3 is a weird one. Look, this was a hard list for me to put together.
Oh, this is such a good one, though.
Oh, that's a good movie. Yeah.
And I want to stress again. I feel like I'm on a repeat button on some of these lists. This is not what I think are the 3 best horror movies or
Absolutely.
the 3 most important horror movies, but ones that I feel have so for me, my 3, it had to have rewatchability and something that I was, like I want to engage in. Like this is one I could watch every year, or even like just random times throughout the year. I really like this. It's very funny, and it's a nice send up of the genre. Like it does a nice job paying homage to like horror movies that have come before, and it came out like at a time where I was kind of fatigued with horror films, a lot of like the splatter gore stuff that I just wasn't really into. And then this movie kind of came along and kind of took some of that idea and kind of flipped it on its head and just made me laugh hysterically. Like Alan Tudyk, I would pay to watch him just read me the dictionary. So I'm a big fan of his. And just the whole movie is really fun. If you've never had a chance to encounter it, it's a good horror movie. It's not like a slapstick scary movie style,
Sure.
but it is funny, and it does like kind of subvert the genre in a way that I think is very entertaining. So definitely recommend it.
I am allowed to show my wife. She hates horror movies, even more than me. But I'm allowed to show her one horror movie a year, and that's on Halloween. And we watched this one year, and she actually really enjoyed this one. That is not typical.
Oh, nice.
Normally, I show her a horror movie, and she does not like it. But she actually really liked this one.
Aw, the romance.
I try.
All right, D, what's your number 2?
All right, number
Drop a deuce
2. That's not right. That's not right at all.
Evil
All right.
Dead 2 again.
All right, Tudong, I messed up somehow.
Yeah.
So go ahead
What?
and
What are you talking about?
Oh, there it is. There's the DVD. You found it.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Here's
Tudong,
part one.
I messed up the slides. So go ahead and talk about your number 2.
My number 2 is The Shining. Now, I didn't
was
see
that?
it when I was a kid. I was not allowed to see that as a kid. For some reason, that was a line. Like I could see any of those. Oh, you almost had it. I could see, the other ones just fine. But for some reason, that one I was told to stay away from. And when I did see it as, I wouldn't say younger, but I mean, like maybe a later teens or early 20s, something like that. I mean, the acting that Jack Nicholson did, he's always great, first of all. Almost always. Usually always. He's never always. But either way, the point is that he gives a great just descent into madness, and I love all of you could just take it apart in so many different ways. There's different, documentaries about it, but the one thing that it also did, absolutely petrifying, not just fear of a family member, a father, person, or something along those lines, but also the supernatural in the hotel. That the scene with the woman in the bathtub is petrifying to me. Absolutely scary. So it's got chills, it's got some Shelley Duvall, and it's got some child acting, and it's got Stanley Kubrick. Fantastic. I love it.
So this is actually my number 2 as well. So we actually crossed over on the same number. That's why it says Brody's pick, but it worked out because we're just going back to back. Yeah, I agree with you, Tudong. I've spoken about my Stanley Kubrick class that I took in college, and this was one, and I actually wrote a research paper on the ending of this. This is one of those movies that almost gets like scarier the more that you look, like the closer you look at it, it almost gets scarier. There's so many layers to this movie. It's insane.
It talks about reincarnation. It's like free will. You don't even know. Like it's all sorts of
so much stuff.
And it's almost like you're in a time loop and you're never getting out of it. In fact, you're just staying there and making it worse.
And even going as far as like the way that they laid out the hotel, where like the turns that they make would not make sense, and it's almost disorienting. And the things that they would do. The
main guy's office, you see out the window, like outside, and yet there's a hallway back there.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, and
there's no way it possibly could have been a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And so the things that Kubrick did with this was fascinating. And this is one that I feel like I can go back to, and it's always kind of scary. And like I said, it kind of gets scarier as you kind of research some more. So that's why it's my number 2. Just for on initial viewings, I know Charlie, you and I have talked about this. It's a little slow. Like if you aren't really into it.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
But yeah, I think this movie's fascinating.
Hey. Before you change your slide,
yes,
I just need to know why the doll from Chucky is in the T for The Shining.
I don't know. It was
like why is the Child's Play doll just staring down at us going?
Because he fit that poster to a T.
I mean, is that supposed to be Shelley Duvall or is that supposed to be Jack Nicholson?
I'm not sure who that is.
In the T.
I'm not sure who that is.
To be fair, I think that's actually from the book, and I think that's from the kid looked in the book. It was a big controversy
because the book was about a doll.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I don't know how that works. I don't know how it works, but it works. People know it. Come on, what's your number 2?
All right, Charlie, moving on to your number 2.
All right, my number 2 is The Shining. Oh no, wait, it's Cabin in the Woods.
This was almost my number 3. Yeah, it's really good.
So similar time in my life. So Tucker and Dale vs. Evil came out in 2010. This one came out in 2011. And again, like there's so many wonderful references in this. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil any part of this. It kind of presents itself one way, and there are some interesting twists and turns along the way that definitely make it worth the ride. It is definitely like for people who are fans of the genre and have enjoyed the genre, then you get to watch this movie and you get to see so many references and things kind of turn on their heads in a way that I think is really creative and unique. It's a fun watching experience. I really enjoy showing this to people who've never seen it and kind of getting to watch them experience some of the turns along the way. It's a really well done kind of horror movie and unique, and at a time where I wasn't sure, like both Tucker and this one, I wasn't sure there was much left that could be new and unique with the horror genre. And then these movies came out and just keep reminding you that every time you think there's no new ground to be broken, someone's going to break new ground and just make something that's really cool. So I really enjoy this one and recommend it highly. Unfortunately, none of these are streamable. So right now,
this one's not streaming anywhere.
Wait, I thought that was on.
This one is on Peacock, and if you watch it's like you watch 2 minutes of commercials or a minute and a half of commercials, and then the movie's commercial free. Okay. So you can watch this on the Peacock app, even without the subscription.
This movie's a strange one. I heard all sorts of good stuff about it, and then I watched it, and then it hit this point where I was just like, wait, what the heck just happened? It was just this really strange point that I was like,
and I love it where they're like, whoa,
wait, I was like not expecting that to happen like at all, and then it finished, and I was like, did I like that movie? I think I did, but what a strange movie.
I was just kind of like, how? It's one of those things where you're like, how did we not come up with something like this before? Like all these things now suddenly make sense.
And look, this is you watch it once, then you watch it a second time, and you have a totally different viewing experience. And then you show it to other people, and you get a whole third different kind of viewing experience. So it's kind of fun, and it's got a Hemsworth in it if you're into that kind of thing.
It does.
Best kind of Hemsworth.
Sure does. Also, Drew Goddard, who went on to do the Daredevil stuff. So,
no, he didn't. He left Daredevil to do this. No, he left Daredevil.
No, this was way before Daredevil.
Yeah, he left Daredevil to do Sinister Six, though, and then they didn't do Sinister Six. Anyways, who is number 1 is next?
All right,
yours, Dylan.
Well, it's mine. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dylan, number 1.
This is number 1s, guys. These are the best. These are our favorite horror movies, so they better be good. We got to bring it to the people.
I need to learn how to do a better drum roll. I see a snare drum or something.
There you go. That's what we need.
Well, no horror movie collection, as far as I'm concerned, would be complete without the original Nightmare on Elm Street. You've got psychological horror, you've got supernatural horror, you've got slasher horror. There's something about the music for that first movie that will always just be completely chilling. Just chill me to the bone. Like, I'll sit there and be like, oh, hey, maybe I don't feel like watching the actual movie. I'll put on the trailer, and then I hear the music, and I'm like, no. I don't have to do that. But I'll always go back and visit my boy Freddie. He is petrifying in this. There are images that still haunt me to this day, and for some reason, I love it.
So this one's your favorite of the series?
Of the series.
Yeah.
It's my favorite because of how, like, first off, in my opinion, it is by far the scariest. Just for the music alone, I find it petrifying. But it also has some images that still stuck with me, like Tina in her body bag. First, you see her being pulled away, and then she's there in class, and I was like, no, 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 not happening. This is not the stuff to see. But it's this kind of thing where it's not just about, oh, hey, for some reason you're just running away from somebody and in the woods and maybe you might get away, but there's no way of getting away. It's completely psychological and supernatural, and that it speaks to me. And so do dreams, because this is all about if you get killed in your dream and then you wake up and you're also killed. It's that sort of a thing has always been fascinating, and it's always been petrifying, and I love it on all sorts of different levels. And it also scared me to death.
This movie, Wes Craven originally pitched this to Disney, and they wanted him to kind of like sanitize it and tone it down and make it like more like PG-13 PG, so that like it could be enjoyed by a younger audience.
Wow.
I can't even imagine what that would be like. But thankfully he decided that was not the route he wanted to take with this film and went a different direction. But this is a great one. I think 3 is my favorite Warriors.
I will say this. I think that 3 is a lot more fun. And if I had to go back and revisit, I would go back to 3. But another thing that I love about this is it was the very first one. Like the producer was like having to get get another mortgage on his house in order to be able to get enough money to finish this whole thing. I mean, they with practical effects, and I mean, I love that kind of stuff.
The crew would
everything that they could do, and mistakes. They would make mistakes, and they turn lemons into lemonade, and I love those kinds of stories.
Yeah, the crew were going like weeks without getting paid and stuff like that. If you want to get like a neat story on it,
Johnny Depp.
The movies that made us on Netflix have an episode on this, and it's really neat to see like the background and stuff like that. They're really fun. They're really fun. But I just watched just recently, and it was super interesting that Wes Craven pitched this all over the place, and it sat for years, and nobody wanted to touch it.
Never Sleep Again. Like that first part is unbelievable. It's like a 4-hour documentary on the entire series, and the first bit is about this, and unbelievable. I love learning about this.
Yeah.
I like reading about it. Same thing like with Evil Dead. These other ones, it's like all the ones I have, I love going back and being like looking at the trivia, looking at the frequently asked questions, all sorts of different stuff. It's an almost an endless supply of information and fun with it as things go on.
Yeah, super interesting. All right, moving on to my number 1, Alien. So the first one. I think in terms of horror, I think the first one is more of a horror movie. I think I enjoy the second movie more, but I think that went more into the action, like action horror, kind of subgenre that we just talked about. All the subgenres of horror. But this one just feels like scarier. You've just got a single alien. You're stuck on the ship. It's hunting you down. It's just taking people out left and right. This one, it gets that sci-fi horror that I like so much. I saw this one as a kid. It stuck with me. This is one that like I just love to watch. Like, Alien 1 and Aliens are just phenomenal movies in my brain. I don't care for some of the later ones.
What was your favorite part of the first one? Favorite part?
Oh man, I still remember when I was a kid watching it, and the part where they are going through the tubes, and they're shining the light, and then they shine the light, and the alien is sticking his arms out like that, is just like burned into my brain of just I think I saw this when I was like 10 years old or something like that, and just having that, I'm just like, oh man, like it scared me in like a good way. And I'm not a big fan of the horror movies, but this one was just so cool. And then with all the mysteries that it set up with the space jockey that they eventually revisited with Prometheus and stuff like that, but like this came out in 79, I think. Something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
And so for like 30 plus years, it was just like, who is the space jockey? Like, what is this person just sitting there? Like it set up everything. There's also a movies that made us about this. No, actually, the movies that made us is about aliens. It's about the second one. Never mind. But just like how much setting up Ripley as a hero in a time when women weren't the heroes. Like there was always, the women like who would, trip and fall or had to have times of crying or something like that. And like Ripley wasn't that. And Ripley is just so cool. She's just so cool. We had the xenomorph that is just an amazing costume. It's an amazing monster. So this one is by far my number one. This was like my easy number one. When we talk about doing this list, I was like, Alien's my number one. So
easy.
Love this one. I love
Sigourney Weaver's
this movie.
is fantastic.
Tom Skerritt. Can't not say anything about Tom Skerritt.
Now, you guys in the last episode said that Aliens was scarier than this one.
Yeah. I'd rather
Game
duke
over,
it out
man,
with
we're all
one
gonna
alien
die.
than a big swarm of aliens.
If I'm being honest, I don't really find either of them to be all that scary, but I think I've just seen Aliens more, and I think I've got that more burned in my brain.
I saw Alien. I saw Aliens when I was young, but I saw Aliens as an adult. So when he did that, when this whole thing, I thought that was fantastic. He was like, "Hey!" I thought he was going to hug him or something. I was like, "That's adorable."
It is a great series.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so Charlie, you're number one.
Okay, my number one is, and I'm going to say this, and I don't use the term lightly. This is a perfect movie.
I knew this was going to be on your list.
Perfect film.
This was almost on my list. I considered putting this on my list, and I was like, this is for sure on Charlie's list. I was 100% sure.
Yeah,
every beat of this movie is just pure perfection. This is so like good. They should just show this in filmmaking classes and how to just craft together and marry the perfect soundtrack to the perfect cuts to the perfect beat. I mean, this is a great story, and you watch it unfold. And it's this zombie movie, and it just starts out so lighthearted and so funny, and you're so invested in the characters. They do such a nice job setting it up, and you're really kind of living it through them. And they're lighthearted. Everything's going to be okay. And then it slowly starts to unravel, and the characters are realizing that it's not going to be okay, and the intensity starts to ramp up, and you realize as an audience that, oh crap, like this is not going to be okay, and the stakes just keep getting higher and higher. The intensity builds. It's like just such a great film. It's a great watch. It's an easy watch. You can pop this on anytime and just enjoy it. You'll laugh. You might even tear up a bit in some places, and it's just I love zombie movies in general, and this one I thought knocked it out of the park, like a nice twist on the genre in general. But this 28 Days Later is also fantastic, but I think this is probably my favorite in the definitely my favorite in the zombie genre, and it's my favorite horror comedy of all time. All three of mine, I guess, are kind of horror comedies, which I think are my favorite for rewatching. Sure. So anyway, great. If you haven't seen this, watch it because it's amazing.
Definitely.
Oh man, the moment when they have the Queen song going and they're beating up the zombies, like in tune with the Queen song, that is so good. It's so well done. All right.
I want to watch the movies that made us about this, but so let's get on it.
That would be really interesting.
Nice.
All right, we've got a couple minutes left, guys. So as a little extra, if you guys had to pick your favorite horror franchise, what would it be? Tudong?
I'd probably have to go with my number one, Nightmare on Elm Street.
As a whole, a franchise as a whole.
I'd probably still go Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, oddly enough, the first Nightmare on Elm Street I watched, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And I was very confused by it at the time.
That's a bad movie. Oh,
I was just kind of like, this is what I thought. And then I thought, it's not that scary. It's not that bad. And then I saw number one. I was like, oh. But then you got number 2, which was, you got the kids fighting back. You got number 4, 5, and 6. But you get Freddy versus Jason, which has its moments. I watched a lot of the franchises things like the Hellraiser, and it's difficult to continue. And the Nightmare, I mean, some of the Friday the 13th, like it's difficult to kind of go back and even see it. But so the ones I revisit the most would probably be a Nightmare on Elm Street.
What about the camps?
Huh?
What about what?
Sleepaway camp. Sleepaway camp.
Sleepaway Camp. I don't even know that one.
Okay.
I know that one. That is nuts. If you ever watch Sleepaway Camp,
The end of
that is basically an alien trying to show us that it knows how to make horror movies. Because I don't know where some of those people got their performances. They are not actual human beings because nobody talks like that. It is insane.
There's some bad franchises out there. I think probably I would lean. Oh gosh, I think I watched. My sister had a box set, and I think when you're out of college, I just packed the whole thing, just to experience it, and yeah, it was. They're not. It's shouldn't say they're not great. It's an interesting and unique watching experience. So if you want to see some sleepaway camps, go ahead.
Never seen it.
Watch that. Have I taken some kind of drug? Because this doesn't make any sense.
I'd probably lean Nightmare on Elm Street as well. I think the character of Freddy Krueger is just so iconic. I love the knives, fingers, and like the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. I still I'll hum that from time to time to my wife when she's in the dark and she gets real mad.
So romantic. So romantic.
Yeah. Hey. And then we watch Event Horizon. It's kind of like the equivalent of like a sock in the door back in the day. Yeah, I like that. I never got. I'll be honest. Like I didn't really care for the Friday the 13th. I just thought there was something that wasn't really that engaging about just an unstoppable, uncharismatic kind of monster who just kind of lumbered around and for some reason was really fast when he was walking slow and just like the whole premise of that one kind of didn't grab me at the time. So I was always like a Freddy guy versus Jason, like a Mac versus PC kind of weird like. For whatever reason, you had to pick a side. Like I was like a Freddy guy, and just get this Jason out of here.
Yeah, that's funny. Bro? I never watched that as a kid either. I watched those only as an adult. I never even really cared. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, see, I think I watched more Friday the 13th than I did Nightmare on Elm Street. And
you like the Undertaker, bro? Undertaker's like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, maybe it was like had to do with my pro wrestling fascination that I was like, he's a big guy, nothing can stop him. You can't kill him. He no-sells every attack. Like, So. I think
it all goes back to wrestling.
It always does. I think if I had to pick,
which is your favorite one, bro? Which is your favorite one?
I'd probably have to go with the Alien franchise, even though there's a couple stinkers in there. I think overall, even the newer stuff, I enjoyed Prometheus. Doggone it. They need to stream this stuff.
Okay.
These movies.
You like 3?
No, although I thought about revisiting 3. I really didn't like Resurrection though. Resurrection was really bad.
3 was better than Resurrection.
Is that the Winona Ryder one?
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing makes it worse than Winona Ryder.
She's fine.
Come
Great
now.
Stranger Things. Beetlejuice.
She could have been replaced. He could have been replaced.
We can all be replaced.
But
Michael Keaton couldn't be replaced.
The Alien
Michael
movies,
Keaton could not be replaced. Bro, what's your favorite Friday the 13th from the franchise?
Hold on. I'm making a point. The Alien movies were made by 20th Century Fox, which is now owned by Disney. Come on. I want the Alien franchise, all of them, on Disney+. I know that it won't happen. But I want to see
put them on. I could put them on Hulu though. Put them on Hulu.
Nobody is streaming Alien Covenant. I didn't see it in theaters, and now it's impossible to find. Nobody streams it. I look constantly. I probably look once a month to see who's streaming Alien Covenant, and nobody streams it. It's incredibly frustrating. And no, I don't want to pay $3.99 to rent it for a day.
You read my mind there, bro. I was like, well, if you really wanted to see it.
So, what were you asking me, Dylan? What about the Friday the 13th?
Your favorite Friday the 13th?
The first one.
The first Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
That's nobody's favorite.
What are you talking about?
That's nobody's
It's the old
favorite.
lady.
Nobody likes the original.
It's the old lady.
Nobody likes the original. What?
It's the old lady.
I hesitate to say old. I'd say middle-aged.
I think she.
I'd say maybe young, maybe 30s.
I don't.
It's probably younger than us now.
Like. Okay, so I honestly don't even know if I could tell you the difference between most of them.
Oh, I could do that.
I remember that
Part
he
two,
was.
We'll save that for another.
Part three,
For another.
his hockey mask. Part 4, he dies, and Corey Feldman.
I remember that kids dug up his grave so they could beat up his corpse and then stabbed him,
That's
and
part 6.
then lightning struck him and he came back to life.
Back to life.
I
yeah.
remember that. I saw.
And then he becomes zombie Jason.
I saw Jason Goes to Hell. That was bad. I saw Jason X. That was really bad.
Worse than From Hell? I don't think Go to Hell. I don't think it's worse than Going to Hell.
Oh, man.
I think Jason Goes to Hell is really terrible. There's not even any Jason.
Jason X was really bad, man. It was really bad.
It was bad. But there at least was Jason in it.
Yeah.
Oh, so real quick, the part of Mrs. Voorhees was played by Betsy Palmer, who was
I think like 29 when she had that role.
No, she was like she was born in 1926 for reference.
Whoa.
So
old.
So she was in her 50s.
How
old.
Old.
So she's middle-aged.
Is 50s middle-aged?
Middle-aged, come on. It's
Well,
middle-aged.
Unfortunately, it wasn't for her because she passed away in 2015 at the age of 88.
Oh,
but may she rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
She, good old Betsy Palmer. Great name.
Rest in power.
Great job in that particular game.
Rest
Hey, and
power,
Kevin Bacon,
Betsy.
by the way, in that very first Friday the 13th.
That's true.
So it all circles back around to Kevin Bacon.
That's
I mean, no, you know what?
Nightmare on Elm Street had Johnny Depp, but Friday the 13th, the original had Kevin Bacon, and so hat tip.
Touche.
The 13th.
I think they rebooted it, and I think I enjoyed the reboot. That was the first one. I think
the guy from Supernatural was on it.
I don't remember. You give me a face like you're so disappointed in my answers, Charlie. What's the right answer?
No, there's no right answer other than the reboots of Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street are the kind of reboots that make you make this face.
Okay, what is the best Friday the 13th then? If I had to watch one.
Oh gosh, if you're only picking one,
yeah,
what's
the best one? 6?
Is it No, not 6. No.
I haven't seen a Friday the 13th in a long time. I didn't choose Friday the 13th. It's not even on my list. You guys put me on the spot.
I don't know why we're talking about it.
By saying Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street.
You said you prefer Friday the 13th more than Nightmare on Elm Street. So I just asked which is your favorite.
And I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe the first one has Kevin Bacon, so let's just go with that.
There we go. My answer stands. The first one.
Maybe the reboot's better than I give it credit for. And look, horror movies you got to be in the right mood for. And I think this is an important thing that I'll kind of wrap my point of view on this here. Is if you go into it with a bad attitude to watch a horror movie, like I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to you're not going to get me. You're just not going to enjoy it. If I was talking to Brody before the podcast, and I was saying, it's kind of like going to an amusement park and you're going on a roller coaster and you're so worried about being, not being scared that you don't enjoy the thrill of the ride. And then you get off the roller coaster and sure, you weren't scared, but also like your heart wasn't pounding and you didn't allow yourself to throw your hands up and just kind of whoop and have a good time. So you have to be in the right mindset. And there have definitely been times that I've watched horror movies where I was just not it wasn't the right environment. I watched, what was the Krasinski one, A Quiet Place or something like that,
Place.
Where you can't make the sounds. We watched that on at my friend's house, like a group. Like they had like a screener. It was like a small TV. It was like noisy. People were like chatting, and I just thought the movie was dumb. And I'm like just watching this. I'm like, this is not an enjoyable film, at all. Like, why are they making? Why they can't just make sounds? They can't just keep going deeper underground and just like live there? Like, why are they keep being up here and making sounds? And it's not the movie's fault. It was completely the environment and like my attitude watching it. So I definitely want to rewatch that at some point when I'm like, that's a great, that seems like a great at home alone in the dark kind of movie with like a nice surround sound setup. So anyway, just make sure if you guys are going to watch a Halloween movie, get the environment right. Get the lights down low. Get under the blankets. Curl up on the couch. Allow yourself to be taken on a little bit of a thrill ride. Let the heart get a little bit pounding. Let the heart race a little bit. enjoy being scared a little bit, and then at the end, flip those lights on and go to bed.
There you go. All right. Do you guys have anything else to add after that? After that beautiful monologue?
You can see the lights on after you
Turn the lights on.
put a little nightlight on. You can't go to bed with the lights off after you watch a bunch of scary movies.
It's true. It's got
It's
a point.
true.
Got a point. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up then.
All right. Well, if you had to pick your top 3 favorite Talk Punch hosts, we hope you're picking us. And if you like what you saw here today, feel free to click on some of these videos down here below. Enjoy some of the other content that we have. It's not all scary stuff over here. There's some stuff here that's not that scary. So feel free to click below, and hopefully you can have a good time with us in the future. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time here at Talk Punch.
Happy Halloween.